Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I have my water bottle microphone. I've got Suki with me right here on the desk, looking for something, smelling something. And I have like 25 or more books that I have pulled off my bookshelves because I went to the used bookstore the other evening and I bought some books. I bought 4 books and I have pulled like 25, 26 books off of my bookshelves to donate. I do this every once in a while, and when I'm in the right mind frame, I can make decisions about books that I have picked up for probably a dollar in most cases because I go to a couple library sales during the year from 2 different libraries, and that's where I pick up a lot of books, and they're a dollar. And if I haven't touched it in a couple years, I'm fine with making space because that book is holding space in a finite amount of shelves. I will put up a shot of my bookshelves in case you're new here or you just don't remember, because why would you? I have bookshelves that are on either side of of a fireplace downstairs, and those are the finite shelves. I've got some books on top, more and more books on top, that I can now move down to some of the other shelves because I've made room. But the upper shelves are saved for mostly Frank Lloyd Wright design book and the wonderful book by Walter Isaacson about Leonardo da Vinci, things like that, that I'm not going to touch, and some childhood books of mine. So when I'm in the right mind frame, it's pretty easy for me to make that distinction. Like, am I going to read this? If I haven't touched this in like 3 summers since that library sale or 2 years, if I really want to read it, I can go to the library because, as you may know, I am primarily a library borrower. So I'm not buying that many books versus using my library anyway. All right, let's get started. I'll talk about the book haul, which were the 4 books, in my other video that I'll make about what I'm reading and then that book haul. Okay, some of these are, hey, look, I'm going to put this down on the ground, okay? Because that's going to make a lot of sound. These are just going to run the gamut. Like, they're going to be classics, they're going to be contemporary, whatever. The first one that I pulled off, and some of these are just going to break your heart, by the way. This might be one of them. Tess of the Dubervilles. The reason that I'm okay with donating this is, yeah, I might read it someday. I have come to the conclusion that I may not be a Thomas Hardy fan and I may never read this. And the biggest reason that I may not read this is that it's one of these mass market small paperbacks. And I have learned that when I get a book like that, unless it's something that I absolutely want to read now and that I guess I don't care that it's small, like Trollope's Phineas Finn that I have, and also the Brothers Karamazov is in one of these books. I'm willing to let it go. I've had this now for about 3 years. Here's another one that I thought I would get to, and I haven't. Henrik Ibsen's 4 major plays. I don't really like reading plays. It's in this beautiful, what are these? Oxford University Press books. I know that Kathy from the Grim Reader loves this format or this publisher, and I like it too. And I got this for, a song. I'm willing to let it go. I got this from a thrift store because it was an orange penguin, and I'm learning that I just have to let these go when I see them if it's not something I really want to read. I mean, this looks interesting, but I've had this for 3 years. It's Slavenka Draculic's The Taste of a Man. The Taste of a Man is so like a memoir, though it is indeed a novel, that its narrator exists off the page with an amazing life of her own. She's a Polish graduate student finishing her doctorate in New York. He is a Brazilian anthropologist in the city on a 3-month research grant. They meet by chance in the New York Public Library, fall in love, so on. That really sounds good. I don't know why I haven't gotten to this. And it's tiny. A novel by the author of Cafe Europa. I don't know. I may have just convinced myself that I'll keep this and see what happens. All right, putting it on the other pile. Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley. I love, love, love Patricia Highsmith. I have her diaries and journals, massive book that I want to reread. I have read this, I love it, but I don't need it. Like, there are some books that I've read that I will keep because I just want to treasure that reading experience, and by having the book, I treasure it, and I may want to reread it. I won't reread this, and so this is on the pile. Here's another one that I thought I would have reread, and I was really interested in, and just so happy when I found it at that library sale. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I remember this specifically, which library sale I found this, but I have never touched it. I read it in junior high, and I really just don't have any desire to reread it. Okay. I've had this book. Again, it's a penguin. I get very attracted to the penguins. And I've tried reading this, Penelope Lively's How It All Began, and I don't know, it's just not catching. It's like three different lives and they're converging. And so yeah, I'm letting it go. I'm not even going to talk about it. This might be controversial for some people because a lot of people like this book, which is Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. I know this is a very sad story. I think I saw the movie, or I saw some of the movie. It was too sad for me at the time. So I am just going to let this go. If I ever get the urge, I can get it out of the library. Where did I find? Oh, this had to be this is a $1 book I picked up. The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. Sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. I know this is a really good book. I might have read something by this author already. At a cafe table in Lahore, a bearded Pakistani man converses with an uneasy American stranger. As dusk deepens tonight, he begins the tale that has brought them to this fateful encounter. Has something to do with September 11th. I just haven't gotten to this. I'm pulling it off. I'm donating it. If I ever want to read it, I'll pick it up from the library. Oh man, this is like a souvenir book for me, and I'm donating it. I loved John Boyne's book that I read. What is it? The Heart's Invisible Furies. I love that book. I must have donated it because I don't have it anymore. I picked this up at a bookstore in Key West. It was a used and new bookstore, and oh my God, it must have been 3 years ago. Sometimes we go to the Keys in February just to get. We are not beach people, but we sometimes will just make a quick trip to Key West. And I found another John Boyne after I had read The Heart's Invisible Furies, but I've never picked this up. It just didn't attract me after all. So donating it. This was a popular book, An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. Sounds fascinating, and yet I never read it. I was happy to find it a couple years ago, have never had the inclination. It's a captivating love story that's also a clear-eyed look at the effects of injustice in contemporary American life. I think this is about a couple, and yeah, the husband gets arrested and is incarcerated, and what that does to their marriage. It's an Oprah's Book Club book, very popular at the time, and I'll get it out of the library. Oh my gosh, I got this book, winner of the Booker Prize. So I know Bob the Bookerer has read this. And this is a favorite book of Anna Wallace, uh, Anna Johnson Wallace. Anna Wallace Johnson? And I will not be reading this. I think also, I feel like this was also a book that Sean, formerly Sean the Book Maniac, really liked. And I picked this up before I'd heard from either of them about this book. I don't know, I liked the cover. I love the color. And it said that it won the Booker Prize, or shortlisted anyway, sorry, shortlisted. And I'm just not going to read this. So, I mean, if I want to, I will, but not, it doesn't need to take up space. I bought this book. Oh, no. I bought this next book when I was listening to a book podcast. This is before I knew anything about Bookstagram and Booktube. Dolly, no, what is her name? I'll put the book podcast here. I love this podcast. I haven't listened to it in a while. She loves this book, and her friends that she would have on love this book. I love the way it looks. And I don't even think I've cracked this open. Like, I think I have, actually. I mean, it's a classic book. Okay. Suki has been taken downstairs. I don't know. Oh my God. I don't know what's gotten into her. Okay. I was talking about Valley of the Dolls. Famous book, written in the 60s. Oh, this was the 50th anniversary cover. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. But I just have to face it. I'm not going to read it. Really meant to read Milkman by Anna Burns. Winner of the Booker Prize in 2018. So another one that Bob the Bookerer probably has read. But yeah, just not picking it up. So it's got to go. Oh, here's one that I I thought I was going to read my first Murakami, Commend, Killing Commendator? What's this about? When a 30-something portrait painter is abandoned by his wife, he secludes himself in the mountain home of a world-famous artist. One day, the young painter hears a noise from the attic, and upon investigation, he discovers a previously unseen painting. So on, so on. I don't know. Wonder if Nathan from Nathan's Nook has read this. We'll see. But I think it's staying in the donation pile. Oh, this might be controversial. A Barbara Kingsolver, The Bean Tree. I know this is one of her more famous ones. I'm just not picking this up. So I'm going to donate it. If I ever want to read a Barbara Kingsolver, I will. Oh my God. This one, oh man. I remember where I got this one. This was like a long time ago. I picked this book up by Lionel Shriver, who I really like as an author. I've read a couple of her books. I actually really like a collection of short stories of hers, which I'll list in the description. I have it on my phone. I don't even like short stories really, but I like that one collection. I picked this up at a used bookstore in Chattanooga, one of my favorite towns, and we go to Chattanooga frequently. But it was like one of the first times we were there. I picked this up. I think I needed something to read. I love tennis, but I'm just not gonna get to it. And it's a hardback, which I'm not drawn to. So that's that. Okay, one more stack. One more stack. Okay. This is when I was in my section of black-spined penguins. When I got a lot of those black-spined penguins, I had bought a bundle of penguins from eBay. This was a couple years ago. And so there are ones in there that I thought, okay, I don't think I'm going to read those, but it's worth it for the other ones. And that's why some of these are going. I have read Joseph Conrad. What did I read by Joseph Conrad that I really liked? If I have read something of Joseph Conrad, I'll put it here. But these are like wartime espionage, not up my alley at all. So this is Joseph Conrad's The Secret Agent. The Saga of the People of Laxerdal and Boli Bolason's Tale. This is got to be ancient writing. I know I'm never going to touch this. This is by, I don't even know. Gudrun is headstrong, proud, and the most beautiful woman in Iceland. Oh, the tragic story of how she comes to betray and destroy the only man she's ever truly loved lies at the heart of this forceful family saga, written around 1245. So that's in the pile. Arthur Miller's The Crucible. This is a play that I have read, and it's tough. It's really, really tough, and I'm not going to read it again. So that's going. The Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, see, this is where Ben from Doom Antidote knows all about this, and his channel really celebrates this ancient writing, especially this epic, if you want to go check that out. He's not making videos currently, but he knows a lot about this. I hate to get rid of an NYRB book ever, but I picked this up. I just think it was last year when, maybe it was earlier this year, but we were in Portland, Maine before we got on a flight. We were in North Conway, New Hampshire on an ice climbing trip. We were flying out of Portland, Maine. We wanted to stop in Portland. We went to a used bookstore. They had this Manservant and Maidservant by Ivy Compton Burnett, who is an author I know I've heard. Maybe Simon from Tier Books, which is one of my favorite book podcasts, talk about this. But yeah, I tried to read it. It's I just couldn't get into it, so I'm going to let it go. A radical thinker, one of the rare modern heretics, said Mary McCarthy of Ivy Compton Burnett, whose austere, savage, and bitingly comic novels constitute a singular and extraordinary contribution to English literature. Manservant and Maidservant is among the funniest and most surprising of Compton Burnett's inventions. I didn't like the characters. I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of books where I don't like the characters. I just didn't connect with this one. And it's in wonderful, well, almost wonderful condition. Oh, that goes here. Okay, the very last group. Almost done. Stella Gibbons, Cold Comfort Farm, a classic. It's this like eau de Nil penguin spine, which I love. I've read this and I don't need to keep it. Sometimes I keep them because I love this type of penguin, like modern classic spine. Another one of that eBay collection. I'm not going to read Jonathan Swift's Golfer's Travels. I've seen the cartoon. F.M. Mayer's The Rector's Daughter. I don't even know where I got this. It was a library sale. It's a Virago modern classic. I love that, but I'm just not going to read this. I just know I'm not. A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid. I've read this, and I remember finding this at a library sale, and it can go. I just picked this up at this summer's library sale, and I tried it, and I'm just not connecting with it. It's Maria Gainza's Optic Nerve, 100 Notable Books of 2019. And the last one. I love this cover. I'm sure this is why I kept it, because it's such a pretty book. The Feast by Margaret Kennedy. Highly recommend. I love the structure of this story where you know from the beginning the tragedy that's happened, and then it works backwards. Day 7, or no, it works towards the disaster. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 7 days before. So you get to know everybody. Really good. Really good. Highly recommend. Cornwall, summer 1947, A Buried Seaside Hotel. Well, that's it. Sorry for the Suki interruptions. Thank you for hanging in there. I wanted to make sure that I talked about the books out loud. So if you were, you know, cooking or working on a spreadsheet or doing something, that you could listen in without having to look. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back with a reading update and talking about those 4 books that I picked up at the bookstore that prompted me to get rid of. I think there's about 26. Hey, let me know if you have any opinions about these books, or may not keep them as I read the comments. And going into Thanksgiving, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Some of you still leaving comments after over 2 years. I just had my 2-year anniversary, and some of you original commenters are still hanging around and watching me, and I love this community. I feel like this community, whether I'm connected with all of you in the comments or some of you are booktubers yourselves, is so flattening in terms of background, where we have come from, age differences. It doesn't matter. We're all just connected by the love of reading and sharing and learning from one another, and it's fantastic. So if you're in the United States and you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful time. And I'll see you after that with a reading update. Thank you so much for being here.